So again, a very good morning, Vikas. If you are ready, we can begin with the mock.
So, can I take a sip of water?
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay, Vikas. So, Vikas, like you are presently employed in Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, right? So, like, what is your job profile?
Sir, I am working as assistant section officer. Mostly my work related to administrative work, but sometimes I deal with technical related to ministry also. Technical works related to ministry. Since I worked in the wildlife division also during my first posting, so I dealt with some of technical
So,
works
like,
there.
what kind of work did you do in wildlife section?
Sir, I handled administrative mostly, but there was responsibility for me that you need to prepare answers for parliamentary questions also. So I have to deal with those kind of responsibility also in that
Okay,
division.
okay. So basically, your work is to connect between the ministry and the parliament, right? That kind of
Yes,
work.
sir.
All right. So, Vikas, you are living in Delhi. So can you tell me what is the state bird of Delhi?
Sir, it is sparrow, home sparrow.
Okay. So like, why is home sparrow being almost getting extinct from Delhi, right?
Sir, it is to, one study was conducted by wildlife division only in 2010, and it was found that due to uh, radio waves emitted from uh, towers associated with mobiles communication was responsible one of the cause, and human pressure is very much in New Delhi. So these are two main reasons for sparrow extinction.
So is it related to our architecture or the way we are building our houses in the cities?
So we can say that uncontrolled and unmanaged habitat in urban part of New Delhi is one of the reasons also.
All right. So Vikas, have you heard about the term culling of
Sir,
animals?
uh, I am not very much aware of the terminology meaning, but I am sure that it is culling related to wild animals and death by force. And
It actually means selective slaughtering of wild animal, right? So are you aware
yes, sir.
in which law, which section, or where it is mentioned?
Sir, not aware precisely.
Have you heard about vermins?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where have you heard about it?
Earlier it was, but we can say currently it is in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972,
Okay, so
and
like
Schedule 5 animals are called as vermin.
okay, so like
And
what is the significance of vermins?
so they are the animals which are designated as vermin on the request of state governments by the central government, and for the time being, they are allowed to be killed specifically.
This is only culling, is right? This is only what we call culling. Okay. So, like, what
Yes,
is your opinion on culling? Like you are aspiring to be a forest officer. So often there will be requests by the villagers around the forest about like this aspect, right? Like sometimes what happens, there might be a monkey who has or a group of monkeys who have turned very notorious, and like they are creating nuisance to the humans, or there might be sometimes other species. So what is your take on it, right? Should we go with culling when we, or we should not go with culling? What will you, how will you approach it?
sir. As per the provisions of Wildlife Protection Act, hunting is prohibited, and in my opinion, also culling should not be allowed as per se. And there are measures to be taken, like electroculation and other activities can be happen to avoid that human wildlife conflict. Otherwise, culling is ethically wrong because it is their habitat, and their choice of living also. So why do we need to opt for culling per se? We need to find some alternative also. Like Jews are housing those animals also. Like in New Delhi Zoo, there are so many monkeys which are being rescued and housed in the National Zoological Park New Delhi.
All right. I got your point. I appreciate it, right? So, like Vikas, suppose you said it is ethically wrong, but like, what will happen if we don't address the issue of, like, suppose you talked of monkey. If the few group of monkey they have done very notorious, so they are also impacting the they are also impacting the property as well as emotions of humans. So, don't you think as a forest officer you also have duty to cater to the needs and the emotions of humans also?
So there are provisions for rescuing. So we need to find that rescuing is possible. If it is possible, and then we rescue them and house in that rescue center. Otherwise, killing may be allowed as per the provisions of Wildlife Protection Act.
All right. Uh, Vikas, what is your take on the ban of wheat export by India? Do you support it?
Sorry, sir.
Can you give us perspective on the wheat embargo by the government of India? Ban on the export of the wheat, right?
Sir, in order to fulfill that commitment made by the current government, Atmanirbhar Bharat, so we need to self-sustain first. So in order to achieve that, government uh, banned that export of wheat to those countries they are importing from us. So,
So, like, is it only self-sufficient? We already have a huge amount of wheat stock, right? More than the requirement, the legal requirement. So, is it only self-sufficiency, or do we have clues from some other events or other issues also?
sir, there is a slight difference in that production capacity also in now in this current season. So it is like preparing for future also.
Okay. Also Vikas, you also have geology optional. So, you are living in Delhi, but you are from Tonk, Rajasthan, right? So, can you tell
Yes, sir.
me, can you think about something which connects Rajasthan and Delhi geologically?
Sir, one similarity between these two places where I live and where I lived earlier, there is extension of Aravalli Mountains in Tonk district also, and Aravalli Ridge is found in the New Delhi area also.
Yes, very good, right? So, Vikas, can you tell us what is the age of Aravallis? Approximate age, maybe era, zone, anything.
Sir, era I can quote because I am not very much sure that 2 million or 3 million years ago, but it is of Archean age.
Okay. So, like, can you approximately guess what is the Archean age in million or whatever, right?
Sir, Uh, I'm not pretty sure, and I didn't brush up because I'm very much occupied with the preparation of prelims. So it is around 2 to 3 million years,
Hmm. Are you aware what is the age of Earth?
4.6 billion years.
Okay. And all right. Okay. So my last question to you, Vikas, is uh, like you are working in the environment ministry, right? And you have seen the work, right? Your administrative as well as the technical work. So, from your experience of 4 5 years, can you tell what three changes will you like to bring in the way our environment is managed in our country? Any three changes?
So in terms of ministry, I can quote 2 or 3 changes that can be bring about because in ministry I'm very much having exposure. But,
Yeah, you can
so one
go
is
ahead. Any three changes.
one is that R&D related activities should be undertaken by the ministry itself because it is taken by the subordinate organization or other organization associated with the ministry. And second is implementation of policies because our policies are way forward than developed nations also in terms of policy formulation. We are very much advanced, but policy implementation lags between uh, what we think of while preparing those policies, and results are very much different from those policies. And third is that scientists which are recruited in the ministry, they are very much occupied with the administrative works. There should be a scope of scientific work also. These are three terms.
All
These
right.
are
All right. So that's all from my side. Over to Rishabh sir, Paritosh sir, anybody. Rishabh.
Okay. Good morning, Vikas.
good morning, sir.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell us how many national parks are there in Rajasthan?
Sir, it is five.
Okay. Can you name them?
Desert National Park, Ranthambore National Park, and Kevladev Ghana National Park, Sariska National Park. Sir, one is missing from my.
Okay, no problem. Have you visited any of them?
Sir, I recently visited Sariska Tiger Reserve and National Park.
Okay. So, can you tell us few flora and fauna that are found there?
Sir, I found that the Prosopis juliflora, which is Angrezi Bhul, in local terms we know, and Acacia catechu, Khair, and some trees were of Palas also there. And apart from it was mostly deciduous trees.
And animals? Few animals?
Sir, I was not fortunate to sight that tiger housed in that Sariska Tiger Reserve, but I seen there uh, common deer, and one was that we call jungly boar.
Okay. Okay. So, are you aware of this Montreux record?
Sir, Montrex record is I'm aware. Montrex record is designated to those sites of wetlands which are very much degraded in terms of their sustainability and their habitat related.
A- Are there such sites in Rajasthan?
Sir, one is in the Rajasthan, Kevla Devgana.
Okay, good. So, can you tell us a few GI tags of Rajasthan?
Sir, I'm not very much aware about those. I didn't read. Those.
Okay, no problem. So, cooking is one of your hobby, right?
Yes,
So, suppose you were a cuisine. So, what were you?
sir. I will be like ready to be experimented kind of person. So in cuisine also we experiment with some kind of fusion element. So one person should be ready to be fusionized. So cooking is a cuisine also are also like that. So uh, if I may be a cooking cuisine, so I'm very much intact to those principles which are associated with my particular cuisine, but I will be ready for experiments if
Which food
any.
items will you be? If you were a food item, if you were a cuisine,
So mostly I like Indian cuisine, so I would like to be that person or as a cuisine also. Like we are from, I am from Rajasthan, so I will be going for dal bati churma.
okay, you will be dal bati churma, right?
Yes.
So, what is the similarities between both of you?
Sir, dal bati churma is not confined with Rajasthan cuisine also, but they are likable by with uh, whole of the country, and those tourists who visits to Rajasthan, they are very much fond of dal bati churma. So I will be the person who is most likable.
Okay, fine. So, can you tell us what is the biggest challenge faced by Rajasthan right now?
And sir, it is that desert spreading in the east part also. So it is in terms of climate related issue.
Okay, so suppose there is a barren land, okay, desert land, and you have to convert it into a forest area, right? So, what will be the species, pioneer species, which you would bring there? You will start with which pioneer species?
So in terms of Rajasthan, mostly that Khesari, Prosopis cinerea, which is one of the pioneer species. I will go for that because it is native to Rajasthan area, and it will be adapt. It will be most specific species of trees, which will adapt by the time because of
Okay,
its qualities of adaptation.
okay. So this forest subject, it was moved from state list to concurrent list by 42nd Amendment in 1976. Are you aware of this?
Sir, it was did by 42nd Amendment in 1976 or 1972. I'm not
Okay. So,
specific.
what was the rationale behind this move, and has it benefited after that? Has this move been beneficial for us?
Sir, for first question, that rationale was given by central government was like state governments were in the competition to generate more and more revenue by cutting and felling the trees found in the forest area. So, and it was devastating to the forest area. And secondly, it is benefited because while policy formulation is with the state and for central government also, so uh, by going that coherence with states, more specific policies are being by the state government and central government also.
Okay, my last question to you: who is the governor of Rajasthan right now?
Sir Kalraj Mishra.
Okay, thank you, Vikas. Now over to you, Paritosh sir.
Good morning, Vikas. Am I audible?
Good morning. Sir. Good morning, sir.
So, I just want to. I was really interested by your hobbies.
Yes, sir.
So, do you write poetry?
Yes, sir. I write for leisure and some specific issues also in the Hindi specifically.
What kind of subjects do you treat?
Sir, it is random because sometimes while watching the movies or series, I feel like I should be the person who uh, create one or two lines or four lines about this. So it is much of random topics I wrote about.
Uh, but if it's random, okay. What are your favorite subjects then? Like the ones that you like to write about?
Sir, as I mentioned earlier, that contemporary issues will be the first priority, and social issues
Name,
specifically. Because,
name the last two poems that you read, that you wrote. What was the title? What was their title?
sir, one was for my son, who born on 24th September. So I wrote one lorry for him, and other is recently I was some series of Panchayat season 2. So, but it was more of a broad categorized poetry I wrote for that series, but I'm not able to recall those lines. I
Can you
because
can you recall any one stanza that you have written of these two poetry?
sir, I can recite that lorry I wrote for my son.
Okay. Can you just recite one stanza?
Uh, sir, it is like man mohana तोहे बतिया सुना मन मोहना तोहे बतिया सुना प्यारी ठारी ओ संदल सी न्यारी थी जे घर जो तुझको मनाऊं मन मोहना तोहे बतिया सुनाऊं. Should I continue?
No, no, but that was really nice. Uh,
Sir, thank you.
Vikas, tell me, do you remember Vande Mataram completely?
Sir, since my childhood, I completely left out that part, but few lines I can recall.
What is the contribution of Vande Mataram in the national freedom movement?
Sir, I'm not sure about that.
Like, how did Vande Mataram become a national song?
Sir, not aware about that.
Uh, can you
Precisely, I'm
answer?
not getting
That's
the
okay.
that zone.
That's okay. What was the purpose of having a, like, since you listen to songs and you can do poetry? What was the purpose of having a national anthem and national song? Can you think of just any reason, any logical reason, or an emotional reason?
Sir, poetry and songs are related to that are emotions. So one national song are binds people irrespective of their identity, individual identity. Like Janagana Mana is one of the song which correlate with that, our geography and our culture, as well as uh, uh, it will it acts like influencing our emotions towards the nation.
Yes.
So
In a way, it
national
also
pride is.
helps us, the national song, national anthem, if you analyze it closely, they help us, in a way, some sort of achieve the goals of preamble. Okay, so moving on, do you love cooking?
Yes, sir.
How often do you cook?
Sir, on Saturday, Sunday, I give rest to my wife particularly, and on occasionally I cook my breakfast and her breakfast
So,
also.
so you are an engineer. I suppose that if you cook, you actually do you analyze the like how cooking is done, how stuff are made, what is the process that goes on? Have you observed? Can I ask you a few questions from them?
Yes, sir.
So, because what is the difference between a fulka that follows and a puri that follows?
So puri is fried, and while pulka is stir fried in the tawa we use.
So what is the process? Like you're a mechanical engineer. Like what goes on there? Like how different is the process?
Sir, I'm not uh, precisely knows that process which undergoes in the process.
What are some of the spices which are like I would rather not say, but say only in Rajasthan, like most closely in Rajasthan.
Sir, Rajasthan is associated with high spices cooking because it is
Some of the
highly
spices which
spicy.
are peculiarly popular in Rajasthan.
Sir, hing, one of the spices we use for cooking.
Where does
It
it
is,
come from?
sir, it comes from import only right now because cultivation of
Re-
hing is not in India.
Yeah, but recently I heard that hing cultivation is being started in India. Do you know which place?
Sir, Himachal Pradesh government initiated one initiative regarding this. It's in Spiti Valley area.
Which is your favorite spice?
Sir, I go with that degi mix we use because it is not that much
Why?
of spicy, but it
Why is
gives
it
that.
your favorite? How do you relate to that?
Sir, I relate with that degi mix because it in that appropriate quantity it gives that desired spicy nature and as well as appealing color also to the food I cook.
Uh, Also, one last question from my side. Have you heard of air fryers?
Yes, sir.
What is the principle used in air fryers?
So principle related, I'm not aware, but it cooks with uh, some technology associated, but I'm not able to recall it.
That's okay. That was all from my side. Now over to Adwait, sir. You can take
Thank you, sir.
it further.
Good morning, Vikas.
Good morning, sir.
So recently, Supreme Court asked central government like we need to have a separate environment services. So they asked the central government to clear their stance. So what do you think? Why do we need a separate environment services? Do we really need it?
Sir, if it is merely changing the terminology associated with the forest services, it is not advisable at the moment because we need to strengthen and diversify that forest services all, which is in the place already. If and if the central government is ready to go with that environment services specifically with uh, related to environment related uh, issues, so Rajya Sabha can do that. But in my opinion, uh, empowering that forest officers and uh, diversify their subject knowledge with the environment will be sufficient.
So what is the lacuna right now? Like we have forest officers also, but still somehow not able to address the environment situation.
So environment per se it is more specific and more specialized subject, and training to that IFS officers is lagging related to environmental issues. As far I can think, because Supreme Court uh, advised central government to justify that their stand and create environment services, so it will be main reason.
So if tomorrow central government decides to create a separate environment services and forest service will also exist side by side, so what can be the consequences of it? Like what can be the issues associated with it?
Uh, if I go with that structure, with that government structure, it will be like one ministry will be designated to environment related aspects, because currently we deal with the forest services, and other will be some coordinated work done by the forest services and environment services. So there might be some conflict between those, but by the time with creation of the services and by the time they will be more coherent.
Okay, so recently war is going on between Russia and Ukraine. So what is the environmental impact of this war?
So on an environment perspective, I didn't read much about that Russia-Ukraine war. Sorry, sir.
Okay, so have you heard of migratory species?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you relate migratory species with this war?
Yes, sir. Due to that can be happen.
Okay, so this region, like Ukraine, Russia part, it is associated with certain species or a particular type of fauna, I should say, which will be largely impacted. So, can you think in this direction?
So I think, if I may allow to guess, it is Siberian crane, which visit to the Kevladev Gana also. So their their route of the migration will be affected due to this war.
Okay, yes, you're thinking in the right direction. Now tell us how they'll be impacted, how birds are going to be impacted because of this war, which is now stretched more than 2 months.
So as far I can think, because migratory species follow the route which already followed by earlier generations also. So due to this ongoing war, they might got distracted, or otherwise they may die also in that route they take to reach India, and again that And after that breeding season, they will migrate to the respective natives areas. So it will be affected badly, we can say.
And also, they can be impacted by the season because in case they are stuck in India and now summer is here, so it could be risky for their survival also, as well as some of them will be having their mating season
Yes, sir.
in their native place. So their like next generation could also be impacted because of lack of migration. So tell us like which convention is associated with migratory birds.
So one convention of migratory species is associated with migratory species, which comes to force flyways. They term four flyways are there. So they conserve those flyways related species.
Okay, is there any other name for this convention? Convention on migratory species? Any other name for it?
So I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, tell us about the flyways.
So there are four or five flyways. One is associated with Central Asian flyways, which I'm familiar with because it was maintained and regulated policy related matters discussed and planned by Wildlife Division of the Ministry. So I'm pretty much aware about this.
Okay, and India is associated with which flyway?
Central Asian flyway.
Okay, only Central Asian one.
So as far I can read and I can recall.
Okay, and you are from Rajasthan, and recently a new technique was implemented in Rajasthan. So, have you heard of this technique when it comes to transporting animals from one national park to another?
So uh, I'm not aware recent, but in that time when translocation of tiger bats happened in Ranthambore to Sariska, it was airlifted for the first time in country.
Okay, have you heard of Boma technique? Oh, no. Okay. Okay, and earlier, like you mentioned, desertification is a major challenge. So, what is the international law or provision which deals with desertification?
So one convention is there, which was generated in the Earth Summit of 1992, which is termed as UNCCD, United Nations Convention of Combating the Desertification.
Okay, and what is land degradation neutrality?
So I'm familiar with the term, but uh, I'm not uh, able to recall that definition part of this.
Okay, so tell us like how you are going to approach if like you are posted in a region where desertification is increasing. So how you are going to address the situation as an officer?
So recently I watched that Dhun village concept by that Manvinder Singh Sekhawat, if I'm correct. So he invented some kind of land reclamation first, and then go went with that plantation activities, and so I will go for that activities of Dhun village concept in which land reclamation is prioritized first, and then thereafter we go for that plantation activities because desertification should be stopped first by that land water recharge. So that there must be some structures should be there to reclaim the land for water recharge activities first.
Okay, so can you use a silviculture practice in areas which are prone to desertification?
So, and silviculture practices, we manage the forest. So, in order to first manage the forest and related to desert, we have to go reclaim the land first, and thereafter plantation activities will be undertaken by the forest department over there. So silviculture practices might not be that much helpful, but we can go for that Miyawaki technique of afforestation because it is way more uh, fruitful in the matter of reclaiming the land with the forest.
Okay, have you heard of shelter wood?
Yes, sir.
So, what is the purpose of shelter wood system, and also what is shelter wood system?
Sure, shelterwood system involves some trees to be retained for the next season for seeding and that wind breaks also, and for if there are any species in that area which are shade prone, if I may say it, light prone, so they will provide shade to those species and seedling also.
Okay, and what is the
Sure.
major?
Last question,
Yeah,
Hrishav.
just last. So, what is the major force behind desertification? What is the agent that drives desertification?
So majorly it is climate change related because I read recently one of the magazines of Down to Earth. So there was that mentioned that climate change is one of the reason and major reason for desertification.
No, I'm asking agent, the force of agent, which is responsible for desertification, that drives the sand.
So I'm not uh, able to that get that point where you want to pin.
Okay, then that's all from my side. Thank you.
So thank you, sir.
Good morning, Vikas.
Good morning, sir.
How was your morning?
So it was a bit in a hurry because I have to prepare for this interview
Okay.
in the
Did
morning.
you write any poet today? Poem. Did you write any poem today?
So not because poetry comes with uh, some kind of patience because you need to divert those words comes to your mind. So this today it was like you need to prepare for that interview and you need to wear that shirt and all those activities that
Okay. So you have done your graduation in mechanical engineering, right?
yes sir.
Can you tell me what is the second law of thermodynamics?
Sir, it is related to isolated systems of uh, it is stated that entropy of the isolated system
Good.
uh, will will increase by the time. Sorry sir, I'm
Increase.
not will reach the that constant value with the time. Sorry, sir. I am not able to recall, but it is related to entropy of isolated system.
Okay, no problem. What is your octane number?
So sorry, sir. It is related to petrol engine, but
Okay, okay, no problem. Since you are a mechanical engineer, can you tell me how it is going to help you being an IFS officer?
sir, mechanization involves mechanical engineering. So in forest management also, we need to interact with the motorable roads and motor vehicles. And nowadays, drones are very much used in surveying part and seeding part also. So it is being used, and it will be more useful for me also if I will be posted in Indian Forest Service.
Okay. So you have one of the optional as a geology, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me the names of earthquake waves.
Sir, S waves, P waves, love waves, and Rayleigh wave. Four are
Okay,
there.
good. Uh, Tell me the three names by which earthquake are measured.
Sir, I can recall those two terms which are often quoted, Mercalli and reactor scale.
Okay. The third one is moment magnitude scale, right?
I recently watched that video, but I was not able to recall that.
Okay, no problem.
MM.
You are from Tong,
Yes, sir.
Rajasthan.
Yes,
You must have heard about Indra Gandhi Canal, right?
yes, sir.
Can you tell me the negative impact of Indra Gandhi Canal?
Sir, one negative impact is that fertilizer, fertilizer related fertilizer untreated water is being dumped in the Indira Gandhi Canal area from the Punjab. So it is one of the causing agent for cancer in western part of Rajasthan, where Indira Gandhi Canal serves the water. And other is like, sir, I'm not precisely able to recall that, but I read this, and I will brush up this again.
Okay, no, no problem. Have you heard about reintroduction? You just have talked about reintroduction of tiger, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you name any other two species for which reintroduction plan is being carried out
Uh, in India,
in India?
sir, cheetah reintroduction is being planned in the Kuno Palpur sanctuary area of Madhya Pradesh, and other is for Gir uh, Asiatic line. Plan is being formulated, and uh, some discussions and meetings are being held for Asiatic line reintroduction.
Name any two protected areas for this reintroduction of tiger, for reintroduction of lion.
Sir, one is Chanda Mata in Gujarat, and in Rajasthan also, Kumbhalgarh Wildlife Sanctuary was
Right,
one of
right.
the.
Okay. Do you think it's a good strategy?
So first we need to find that problems is being faced by that Asiatic line in that grid area. So um, report says that they are very much conserved and pretty well uh, taken care of. So first we need to find out that if there is any problem faced by the Asiatic line. So one problem is quoted by those scientists and biologists that genetic variation is being continuously um, decreasing by the time. So in order to conserve those species, because in near future, if there any outbreak of diseases to Asiatic line, they will be extinct. So it is better to house them in another uh, location also in order to protect that species.
Okay, good. Okay, this is my last question. You like
Yes,
cooking, right?
yes, sir.
I have seen people from Rajasthan eat spicy food, salts more as compared to other Indians. Tell me the reason behind it. Scientifically, tell me the reason behind it.
So, son, I can say that in Rajasthan there is more much like heat in the Rajasthan area in compared to other parts of country. So, in order to your activate the sweat glands of your body, you need to consume more and more spices, and we consume charge also to overcome that problem associated with consuming the spices. So they are balancing with the charge, and spices are associated with activating your sweat glands more in order to overcome that heat related issues with that body, your body.
That's all from my side. Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you, sir.
So I think we'll end the mock here, Vikas. Right? It was good talking to you. You can leave the call for a few minutes, then we'll call you back for the feedback. Right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.